Miyazaki confirmed in one of his interviews that Siegmeyer's design is inspired by Bazuso. However, the similarity is only in the armor, as the two have very different personalities. Bazuso is one of the early characters hostile to Guts, which is very different from the jovial and helpful Siegmeyer. Siegmeyer proved to be a popular character, so he reappeared in a later game in the series as Sigurd. He still retains the same armor and jovial personality. The Berserk volume source is Volume 4, and the chapter name is The Golden Age. Rosine is one of the apostles whom Guts fought and defeated. In her apostle form, she takes the shape of a giant moth. In Dark Souls, the player will encounter a boss named Moonlight Butterfly, which is a giant butterfly. I believe that Miyazaki added the Moonlight Butterfly boss fight as a deliberate homage to Rosine. He could have chosen an entirely different boss monster instead. The Berserk volume source is Volume 16, and the chapter name is Sky Demon. Snakelord is one of the early apostles that Guts fought after gaining his reputation as the Black Swordsman. He bears a striking resemblance to the humanoid serpent monsters found in Dark Souls. These man-serpent enemies make a comeback in Dark Souls 3, featuring an upgraded moveset and attacks. The Berserk volume source is Volume 1, and the chapter name is The Black Swordsman. Nosferatu Zod is undeniably one of the most popular and significant monsters in Berserk. He plays a prominent role in nearly all crucial moments of the story. It comes as no surprise that Miyazaki would pay homage to Zod by making him the first real boss that the player encounters in the game. However, it would have been even better if there were an upgraded version of the Taurus demon for the hero to face later in their adventure. In the manga, Zod possesses 3 forms: humanoid, beast, and winged beast. Given his enduring popularity, there is a possibility that we might see Zod make appearances in future FromSoft games. The Berserk volume source is Volume 5, and the chapter name is Nosferatu Zod. This is another compelling example of Miyazaki's homage, rather than simply copying Berserk. The resemblance between the red-eye orb and the crimson behelit is unmistakable. Miyazaki could have altered the design to preempt any criticisms, avoid unnecessary comments, or prevent accusations of plagiarism. However, he seems unbothered by such concerns, and instead aims to pay tribute to something significant within the Berserk universe. The red-eye orb holds relevance in the Dark Souls universe and appears in all 3 games of the series. The Berserk volume source is Volume 3, and the chapter name is Guardians of Desire. Similar to Zod, the Skull Knight holds immense importance as one of the key non-human characters in Berserk. He may possess knowledge about the secrets of the Berserk universe, making him a central figure. Thus, it is not surprising that Miyazaki incorporated a group of monsters based on the design of the Skull Knight's armor. These monsters also make an appearance in Dark Souls 3, although they do not play as significant a role in the game's lore as the Skull Knight does in Berserk. The Berserk volume source is Volume 9, and the chapter name is Skull Knight. Rickert is a young member of the Band of the Hawk, who later became a blacksmith under the training of Godot. He is one of the few members who survived the eclipse. In Dark Souls, there is an NPC whose name is Rickett, and interestingly, is also a blacksmith. However, the biggest proof that this character is inspired by Rickert of Berserk is the cell where he is locked up. In Berserk, Rickert helps in taking care of Casca by locking her up in a small room of a cave. This cave gives magical protection to Casca against monsters who attack the branded. From their perspective, being locked in the room is safer than going outside. This same view is shared by the blacksmith Rickert in Dark Souls, as he feels safer in his own cell than being outside. The Berserk volume source is Volume 14, and the chapter name is Armament. In the manga, there is a location where Guts was attacked by monster babies surrounded by flame. If a baby touches a person, the target will burst into fire. Guts spent a night fighting these small enemies. In the game, while exploring the path towards Nito, you will face the skeleton babies. These small enemies have a very similar attack to the fire babies. They can also cause toxic buildup on the player if touched, similar to the burning effect of the babies in Berserk. The Berserk volume source is Volume 15, and the chapter name is Red-Eyed Peacaf. Ornstein and Smaug are the most famous boss enemies in Dark Souls, so it's truly amazing to discover their origins in Berserk. While Guts was on his way to fight the Apostle Rosine, he was blocked from progressing by 2 strong enemies. Their names were not provided, so we will just refer to them as Mantis and Beetle. This is what Guts said about them. Not good, I can't fight them both at once. One has thick armor, and the other has speed. Isn't that what every player says when facing Ornstein and Smaug for the first time? Ornstein represents speed and can cover long distances in one stride. On the other hand, Smaug is slow and lumbering but compensates for it by dealing high damage and having thick armor. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 15, and the chapter is titled Lost Children. The wheel skeleton is one of the most widely recognized references to Berserk in Dark Souls. These skeletons wear a large wooden spiked wheel, enabling them to roll towards you at high speed and inflict a significant amount of damage if you happen to be in their path. The first encounter with these enemies occurs at the bottom of the catacombs, just before the entrance to Pinwheel's lair. In Berserk, the wheel skeletons first appeared when they chased Isidro and Guts. This reference is not only amusing but also undeniably clear. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 17, and the chapter is titled To Holy Ground. Pinwheel has a rich lore in Dark Souls, as he possesses 3 masks that grant him special powers. In the design works, it is also mentioned that he is composed of 3 individuals fused together. In Berserk, when Luca accidentally discovered the den of the Egg Apostle, she witnessed a deific image depicted in a screenshot. This deific image is formed by the skin and bones of priests fused together, resembling the fusion seen in Pinwheel. Additionally, both locations share a similarity in being adorned with numerous candles. From these observations, it can be concluded that Miyazaki adopted the concept of the deific image and its location, incorporating it into the creation of Pinwheel. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 20, and the chapter is titled One Unknown in the Depth of Depths. Miyazaki has publicly confirmed that many armors and sets in Dark Souls draw inspiration from other media. For instance, the Warrior class set is inspired by Parn from Record of Lodoss War, and the Thorn armor set takes inspiration from both Saint Seiya and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The Ferris set bears a striking resemblance to the attire worn by the Apostle Irvine. However, the most telling clue lies in the pose adopted when using the Ferris bow for attacking. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 23, and the chapter is titled War Demons. The giant cats of Darkroot Garden, also known as Great Felines, can be found near the gate that leads to the Great Grey Wolf Sif. Initially, only one cat jumps out at you, but there are 3 cats in total within this area, and they do not respawn after being defeated. These creatures bear a striking resemblance to the monster cats in Berserk, both in terms of their size and appearance. Furthermore, they share similar characteristics, being highly aggressive and capable of swift movements and attacks. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 30, and the chapter is titled Duel. Godot plays a significant role in Berserk as the maker of the Dragon Slayer sword, which serves as Guts' iconic weapon. In contrast, Andre is the primary blacksmith who aids the hero during the early stages of his adventure. These 2 blacksmiths also share visual similarities, although it should be noted that Godot is depicted as having passed his prime when he encounters Guts. The source of the Berserk volume is volume 10, and the chapter is titled Sparks from a Sword Tip. Miyazaki pays the highest homage to Berserk in Dark Souls by designing the main humanoid boss of the Soul expansion to resemble Guts. This homage extends beyond just visual similarities. It also holds contextual significance. Artorias, like Guts, becomes consumed by darkness and succumbs to it as he continues to battle against it. Similarly, Guts becomes consumed by the power of the Berserker armor as he relies on it to defeat monsters. For those familiar with both the manga and the game, it becomes evident that their attack styles also bear resemblance. One can imagine Miyazaki instructing his designers, pointing to the manga and saying, Artorias' repeated jumping attacks should be like this. The most intriguing aspect is that this homage is a complete cover-to-cover tribute. The pose of Artorias displayed on the game cover is a replica of the cover of Berserk Volume 28. Once again, as previously mentioned, Miyazaki was not obligated to incorporate such an homage. The essence and value of the game do not hinge solely on this reference. However, for those fortunate enough to recognize the homage, there is a sense of joy in discovering this hidden beauty. In total, we have identified 15 influences from Berserk on Dark Souls, 14 of which are considered to be beyond doubt, and 1 similar. If you would like to explore how Dark Souls compares to other Souls games in terms of these influences, you can find the links in the description below.